ankle, I just went outside and then I fell on my ass.
Oh, that's not good.
And then I fell down.
Well,
Good
sure.
morning. Off my butt, so we're getting very close to them.
Yes, we are. Wish there was a little more dirt, but
Yes.
At least you're okay though.
Yeah.
That's the important part.
So, Pollyanna, you've been to camp before. How is your return to the camp?
I'm so impressed that they've grown it the way they have, you know, because it was back in Sonoya when we first did it, and it was awesome. And then we did another one in Sonoya, and then I missed one because I was doing something work, I guess. Yeah, the pandemic, it was a big fucker for us all. And then now we're back, and it's nice to have some space, isn't it? Kind of,
Yeah.
a bit of exploration space.
Yeah, I think people got a little lost this year. It's gotten a little
Yes.
lazy and stuff. So maybe we're looking. I've been there since Wednesday. I'm sort of like, where am I at? But it's good to have spaces.
Yeah.
We get more.
Yeah, and it's lovely when it's a fan-run thing because they get it, you know.
Yeah. And Seth, this is your first time actually at the table. Like Seth always, if you don't know this, I think he's attended every camp as a attendee. He'll just walk around, come say hi, and then he, as quick as he gets here, he leaves.
Yes. I like walking through and surprising people. You know, they had their list of who's going to be here, and I was like, oh, an extra person, and he's out amongst us. You know, we're all just people. We all, our feet smell.
Well,
Amen.
and Pollyanna, we have a good congratulations.
Woo!
You don't know, she was recently married to Bobcat Goldwing.
Woo!
Goldwing, that's, yeah.
I call him goldfish ring.
I love it. And it was funny because when I first came on social media, everybody was like, is that a joke? Like, what? You know, people were very, you know, I wrote an article about it, so I went to his page, I wrote his beautiful, his whole big long post. I was like, oh, how sweet. But you have to go to their social media, you have to read their posts. They had their ducks as their maiden.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Their duck, yeah, well, they had honor, and he was the Malibu.
That's
That's
Malibu.
not, yeah. That's amazing. That's very good. So anyway, our heartfelt.
You know, Pollyanna, you mentioned something, and I haven't seen you since then, and so that's something that I kind of wanted to tell you for a while now. But you were the source of my favorite experience that I've ever had involving The Walking Dead.
I'm glad you finished that one. If I don't remember it.
So back when the camp was in Sonoy, I was working with the camp because we're, you know, good friends with Casey and Oscar and Jake, and they had asked me to escort you and Sabrina around Sonoy because you guys were doing different events and things like that, and you guys were actually going out to, I think, lunch or dinner or something, and I was like, all right guys, just give me a call when you're ready to leave, and you know, I'll come back and I'll get you guys, get you over to your Airbnb, and you would not have that. You demanded that I sit down and eat with you guys. And that was...
I did that to you.
But who else can say the break kidnap by Pollyanna McIntosh? But it was a cool feeling because it's, I don't know, just the way that you included me, I sincerely appreciate that, and I just want to say thank you. Absolutely. So whenever people ask me what my favorite experience, I was telling that.
All right. We'll take it.
So we had a surprise reunion between characters. So, you know, let's just dive right into that because we did not, we talked to Seth yesterday and we both told him, didn't see that coming.
At all.
Everyone thought of me, Morgan, I was like, it's not working. But I didn't know who. That was never, I didn't even, you know, imagine.
Father Gabriel was not on my bingo card.
Yeah. So kind of, you know, walk us through how it came about and just, you know, just your experience with this because that was, in my opinion, that was the best episode of that season.
I was so excited to see it in the plan, you know, in the plan. And Gimple came up to me when we were shooting and said, we hope it can happen, so hopefully it's going to work out, you know. So don't tell anyone. I'm like, it's just a box of secrets. That's fine.
I like your Google voice.
And he said, we're kind of hoping for like the same time next year thing, you know, that whole movie that was so beautiful, and they didn't disappoint. The writing.
I don't think he did. Yeah, I was actually on vacation. I think in Barbados, one of those hot places with beautiful brown people. And he called me up and we spoke for about 2 hours before I thought he was just checking in on me. So, because he listens when I ramble, I just spent like an hour gushing him about all my life problems. And he finally said, that's not so great. But anyhow, at least I told him. Oh, that's the reason you're calling. I'm sorry. And he told me about the same time next year, the movie that I'd seen and that I enjoyed when I was younger. I think it's like the 70s. My only concern was what was the timeline with Rosita and
Correct.
Because was you cheating on her?
I don't want to. Well, it's the apocalypse. Is there really cheating? I mean,
Yes. Because that was literally my question. Did you kiss her when you and Rosita was going together? That was literally my question.
No.
No.
Did you? Rosita had already died.
If Rosita was there to take pictures, I mean.
So Rosita was passed already? Okay. Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, so that's how that worked out, and he explained that to me. It wasn't a violation of their relationship. Though he did say, no, I don't know that Rosita was ever really a one-man woman anyway. She's kind of her own, force. And doesn't really attach herself to people in a dependent way. So that made me feel a lot better about it. So.
Okay.
I thought it was really beautiful idea and a chance from my character's perspective to see the vulnerability in her and a beautiful way to bring a message from Alexandria back into the storyline and back through to help Rick and Michonne, and the romantic element both between our characters and what it brought out about Rick and Michonne was really beautiful, because I just didn't think you could have enough romance between them in this world. And it couldn't all just be them going, everything's great now, we're back together, you know what I mean? So I thought that was really cool. And originally it was going to be a crucifix that Gabriel had found, and then it became a wedding ring. And that was really lovely. Circular life. And then when we got to do it, because we didn't have rehearsal or anything.
No, we just kind of took it to it.
But we had Mikey Satrazemis, who's directed so much for the show and had DP before that, and is so brilliant, doing Fear for so long. That he's such a great guy to have around.
Yes.
Just, let you do your thing, but also guide you. And so then when we got into it, there was all that Jadis is holding from him about what she's going through in her world and what she can't talk about, but she needs to kind of confess to him. And all that Gabriel is holding back from her with his grief after Rosita passing, and his want for Jadis to be different. And I just thought it was so intricate, and nobody does it better than this one. So there were so many beautiful moments where we were both kind of, holding stuff back, but leaning on each other, or wanting to lean on each other. And it made for, I thought, some really complex moments.
Yeah.
Whilst he's bringing a whole tea set through the woods, sit down with. And he makes me laugh so hard, like there were just so many moments off camera, and off the set even, where we were, at lunch or on breaks or whatever. We just sort of, have a look and be like, we both have really dark senses of humor.
Yeah, interesting.
So that was cool. And I've been sending messages to you today. I wanted to say this to you through pictures with fans. Have you noticed?
No. You sent messages to me today?
Yeah. So there's a photo of us two on our log.
Yeah.
In our little froggy log.
Oh.
And I've been signing on my side, so he can sign on his side. And then I've been like, I put like G and A and a heart on the tree behind. I made our mugs of peppermint tea steamy. Put a little halo on him and little devil horns on me. So like
Pollyanna, for you, this is the third time you had to get back into that headspace.
I'm not running an aircraft. surprise for me was World Beyond, because when 5.5 months before I left the flagship show, they said, "You're not dying. You'll be coming back in another world, in a film with Rick and Michonne." You know, actually they just said with Rick, but if Rick's going to be there, what?
Right.
Because I would not be here. So that was, then it was 4.5 years later, I think, that we were waiting for it to happen, and we went through various different, you know, things, stages before it became what it was. Which I think a limited series was a great way to go, because then you still get that Walking Dead feeling where it's in your home, you're with your family, your friends, or you can, you know, talk back and forth about what you think is going to happen. You get that nice week in between where you get to process it and not binge, and that's the Walking Dead way. So, and it being limited means, you know, we still get a filmic way because we have a beginning and an end, and we don't have to wait forever to see what happens next. So I thought that was really cool. The World Beyond, if I'm honest, what happened was Julia Ormond, who was the big bad in World Beyond, had a family thing she had to go take care of. And I'd originally been asked if I wanted to do World Beyond, and I'd said yes, but then they just went quiet. And I was like, so then after the first season, when Julia had to go away, they said, well, what do? We need a big bad, you know, we need some conflict. Let's get this one in. And that's when I said, why don't we do this stupid haircut in this one show? I had just grown it to here. And I was like, look at me with all my hair. Because I thought maybe Anne would have her curlies, you know, for this, but no. So that was a surprise, and that was a delight, especially during the pandemic. Oh, I get to go and play with people, and you know, get to know Richmond, which is this really cool city. Yeah. I got to know loads of locals, and it was dope, and you know, got to work with all these new people. So that was a surprise, but this I'd always been awaiting, and thank God it worked out. It's always hard to be objective when I'm in something, when it means this much, but I knew how much this story of bringing Rick and Michonne back together would mean to the fans, and so to have it done well was so important, and I do think they did it, right?
They did.
They did.
So that was very cool, and then to get to play with Seth again was just a delight. When you see that machete come in, and you're like,
Yes.
is it gonna be? Yeah.
Seth, how long was it from when you last acted as Gabriel told that it wasn't a very long period of time? To
I'm trying to think. This is,
Yeah.
don't smoke marijuana, it really kills you. I think it may have been about, I want to say somewhere between 6 to 9 months or so. It was quite a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was close to a year.
And so did it come back easily, or was it, you know?
Only when they put the eye in, did it really feel
Yes, I bet, yeah.
So do you guys both think that the way that episode was written like the way that you feel comfortable if you were your characters, or do you think that you would want it to play out differently?
I think it was designed to make them uncomfortable in a way, which I think is really the Walking Dead way, in the best way, like as much conflict as possible. But it was also nice breathing space for them.
Yeah, it was. It was. I think Scott was very sensitive to if this is something that they would actually do and saying, as opposed to just some kind of, you know, device to get them together again, or to introduce a character, or reintroduce a character. I think he was very sensitive to what they do, which is why, you know, half our conversation was about where we worked timeline-wise with Rosita. For me, because I didn't play any of those things with Rosita as if I had a secret. And I don't know if my performance in The Walking Dead to be compromised. I just want to do another show. So I was very defensive about that, I guess. And he assured me that that would not be the case. And, you know, much to his credit, he took a lot of my concerns into consideration.
Yeah, so that's one thing that we talk about on our podcast a lot, is that we wish The Walking Dead as a whole, and not just the spinoffs, would have a more clearly defined timeline, just so we can keep track of things better.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that we loved about the Once Split, was that it was a lot better at giving us, not necessarily a specific timeline, but enough that we were able to understand a lot of what was going on and when it was taking place.
Yeah.
Because that's a hard thing, because I get why they don't do it, because if you write it a certain way and you put something in stone, going back later on trying to redo that and do it in a way that makes sense and doesn't compromise what happened before would be very difficult to do. So I did like that about the One Split, because that it made it easier for us to understand where that took place within the puzzle at all.
Yeah.
So the scene where you pull the gun on him, who thought he was done?
Oh yeah, I did.
I knew she wasn't gonna do it.
She wasn't
I
gonna
knew she
do
wasn't
it.
gonna do it.
She wasn't going to.
I just thought that it was gonna happen.
Mm-mm.
So
Nope. I knew she wasn't gonna do it.
Yeah.
She didn't take his last name just to kill him.
Yeah.
Right. That part.
Well, one thing about Jadis is she's a very, very complex character with a lot of complex emotions and can be unpredictable in a lot of ways.
Unpredictable as well.
The way I like to describe her when I write about Jadis is that she flips sides more often than she changes her hair.
But
That might
she
be a
likes
source of-
very few people. And he was one of the very few. Like when all her garbage people died, she was devastated.
Oh, absolutely.
I knew she wasn't gonna kill him.
But it was a great scene, and so I kind of walk us through how that, that was for you guys, because it was a wonderful scene. It was so well done.
Was that a suggestion of yours?
No.
He was like, "Were you gonna try to kill me?"
No, and it felt quite difficult in the reading of it to make that flip. Especially that once she kind of did that, she starts saying, I'm sorry for doing this to you, I'm sorry for doing that. And even in those 3 or 4 sentences that she says, she kind of, Jadis, so like through that bit. So I didn't want to be like, like I've got a demon inside me, and like change voices or faces or something. In fact, one of the only things that Scott was like, is it Scott or Mikey? I think it was Mikey, I think it was our director. He was like, no, she's not at that point. She's not there, she's there, but she's not there. What she means by that is, was very specific about it, but I didn't want to kind of, again, make it like a little trick. Yeah, like a little thing, like, I wanted her to be assured that that was the choice she was making, like, oh shit, I've gone too far in the softness, and I've made this and made a mess of this, but I've got to clean it up. And your character is always just so remarkable in his capacity, his bravery, and his capacity to challenge you, and his capacity to have faith, and to be like, well, whatever, like when you say, well, if I'm still alive, you're not saying, in my mind, he's not saying that to be like, because I might die.
No, yeah, he was real.
You'll be sorry. He's like, well, good luck with your expectations.
Yeah.
We're not in charge, So to me, that was a really difficult thing, and I thought, especially when we shot it, because it was like a lot of those close-ups. I just had a cameraman under me. I didn't have him there, because you've got to get those great shots with the trees and everything. And there's so much going on, and you just hope, you also know it's got to be like cool. So you don't want to lean into that kind of so it was complicated. It was complicated, but they know what they're doing, so they edited it well, and they got great stuff out of it. And when he's like, I'll see you next year. Again, Jadis is just like, will not stand down. It's just a beacon of bloody hope. So unless to Gabriel, she finds herself in there.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful. Yeah. I mean, what does a person have to do?
It seems an awful lot. And then some.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scott explained to me that it wouldn't be the end of Gabriel's journey in the Walking Dead universe when we had a conversation, but he did say, it's threatened. It's, things can happen that might seem threatening. But, it's not exactly the end for Father Gabriel. It's true. Does that mean that you're going to hire me for it? Well, it's possible.
Seth, do you think that when the time comes, if we get this representation of Rick and Gabriel meeting again, do you think that there's going to be a source of tension between them?
What would the tension be?
That Jadis is not dead?
I don't think so.
Oh,
I don't.
Gabriel doesn't know that she took Rick, so he don't have anything against her.
Sure.
Yeah. I don't think it's, what we don't know can't hurt it. You know, Sarah, I think you'd be very happy to see Rick again. And I think you'd be overwhelmed at any kind of activity that might have stemmed from murder.
I think neither of them are people who, want anyone else to be anyone other than themselves as
Yeah.
well. It's not like they haven't made difficult choices before. Plus, I did say, come on, after these 5 hours, 6, 7 hours of me dying, like, what are the acts I haven't played? I got the zombie. I think I've got all my cards. Take it down.
Yeah.
All right, I think we can start some questions.
Yeah.
All right, they go down.
Don't come running.
You know me.
Because you're so far.
Right.
Yeah, we can't hear
Well,
anything you're saying.
you might not hear me back.
I mean, he might as well bring it right on down.
Just pass it down. All right.
Okay, just say.
Have you ever wondered how like a city, a military like the CRM even found the junkyard and like why they would take interest in such a small group?
Well, that junkyard was massive. Like, it was actually really huge, and that wonderful shop where everyone was like, oh, they screwed up, they had a bird in the shop. Which I was told, Scott was like, yeah, no, we screwed up. With the helicopter pad and all that jazz. So we had a lot of space. And they were running things a little differently back then when they kind of were using our help. I think the CRM, at the point that we see them in the ones who live, would have just annihilated us. For sure.
Like, has no one ever made a backstory for you, or like, did you have to make that yourself?
I mean, yes and no. Like, when I first came on the show, I pushed and pushed for questions from Scott, but the results are not.
And you gotta do his head. He'd be like,
Yeah, there were like a lot of theories, like even that PPP card, like it just everything was starting to like become intertwined,
Yeah.
and nothing was clear at that point.
Yeah.
I think it's just up to interpretation.
Yeah, I think that's one of the best things about the show. People ask me questions sometimes where I'm like, what do you think? What do you think? Because that's what it's for. Everyone discuss their own ways, and like, I don't think you should be told the story. You should interpret it like you say to yourself. But some of my backstory for Jadis came from Scott. Some of it came from what I felt was inferred in the writing. Some of it just came from me. And then you hope that you play it a certain way where that maybe influences it, so we're all influencing each other. Do you have something?
No, I was off in my head fighting a dragon on the mountaintop.
Okay, it's for both of you.
Okay.
Where exactly do you think this whole meetup kept happening? Was it near Alexandria? Because in the beginning, when we see the machete, we see the walker come through, and Michonne and Rick see the machete in its arm, like its neck. And everyone's like, oh, is that the same machete that Gabriel killed that walker with, or hit the walker with? Now, that was in Nebraska.
I think he would keep hold of his machete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got that nice face to keep it.
Yeah.
And also, I would think that Jadis would go closer to where Alexandria was to see him, because she's not just going to be like random woods.
Yeah, I don't think Gabriel would be wandering that far off.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
and you were
either, but-
walking.
Too far, yeah.
He was walking with a crate.
Right? He was
Right.
walking with a crate tea.
And not with a baby at home.
With a baby.
Yeah.
And I've got helicopter access, so.
Right. Do you think that was the same walker?
No.
That he just
No, I
walked
don't
off
actually
somewhere?
think it was.
No.
It is a cool theory, but
Yeah.
to me it wasn't.
Okay, okay.
I think that's what they like to call a red herring.
Right.
When they throw something in there that makes the cat distract you.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt, but these ladies were, they were ready for questions so early.
Thank you. Hanako, you ain't have one? You go first.
We like have enough to about 2 more questions.
You go first.
Because we gotta get them back to the table.
Love both of you as actors. Pollyanna, I particularly love the way you use your eyes. I noticed that I love the way you act. What do you think Jada's upbringing was like? I know she's an artist, and she said she wished she would have died an artist. What was her upbringing like? Was she always an artist?
Well, she was an art teacher at the school that a lot of the students came from that ended up in the junkyard.
I never heard that ever.
Yeah, so when she's in the museum and she says, I used to read my students here.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
I think, to me, she's an only child. She did a lot of painting and drawing and storytelling herself.
To herself.
Private and alone, kind of, parents, maybe a little older, maybe a little vague, I don't think she was like, Mommy and Daddy help me. I don't think she called her mom every day when she went off to university, you know what I mean?
Okay.
But I do think she had a pretty traditional, like, work, you need to work kind of teacher training kind of ways.
Okay. Was the language with her and her people just created out of secrecy so people would know what y'all were talking about? Not speaking in complete sentences?
A bit of that, a bit of speed over large surface area, a bit of bonding for the group, which she talks about in World Beyond. She talks about how you want to build a culture kind of thing, build a religion. I was actually questioning that. I was like, oh, I think about faith, I mean, like religion, like it sounds like a cult, like, But I thought it was to make outsiders as well feel like they're on the back foot and feel confused and feel out of it and weirded out, because that's her whole thing. And then when people are weirded out, you get under the surface of them more, you get to see their mental kind of thing. So a bit of everything.
Get your question.
Okay, my question is for Seth. I have my own interpretation, but why do you think that Father Gabriel never gave the ring that Rick gave him to Michonne during that whole period? Like,
Why didn't Father Gabriel
give Michonne the ring, or tell Michonne about the ring and that whole conversation he had with Rick?
I think that would have been presumptive.
Because it was for Rick to get.
Presuming that they were further along in their relationship, or presuming something about their relationship that he wasn't necessarily the first person privy to. If I see you walking with some dude or some girl, I'm not just going to come up and be like, when's the wedding? I'm not sure where you are in your relationship with a particular person. So I think,
So how long had they were already together that
Yeah.
time, and then
No,
now he said he wanted to
I
propose
know,
to
but they
Michonne.
were, it's not like he was in rooms with them alone to see where their relationship was.
Oh, okay,
You know,
okay.
so it's, he mostly saw them fighting, he never saw them.
Yeah. He wasn't privy to that. Yeah. He didn't know about the apple.
I like your shirt. That's why you gotta ask. That's an interesting.
That's a great question.
I have one last question.
Okay,
It's
real quick. We gotta
quick.
get them back to the table.
Just for Seth. At the end of The Ones That Live, when Father Gabriel was waiting, did he think he got stood up, or did he realize that she had died?
I had the feeling, I believe that he would have showed up every year for at least 5 years.
Yeah. Okay.
Waiting for her, figuring that if she didn't show up because she got entangled in something and wasn't able to get away. And I think that he is a man of deep hope and faith, and I don't believe that he would have gone to, oh, she must be dead, she didn't show up. I think he would have gone to, oh, she must have been, entangled in something and couldn't get away. I'll just see her next year.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
So you're going to be in Outer Banks season 4, correct? Do you have anything new?
I'm going to direct an Irish comedy called Ditched, so I'd love your support on that.
Ooh.
Absolutely. And I just want to say that, no, I will, you have to speak first.
Okay. Pollyanna pulled herself together. Dad walks into a deli with a bowl of soup on a leash. That's the punchline. Are you here on time?
Thanks, yeah. So do I have that image in my head. I just want to say, like, it's so lovely to be supported by you guys and to be part of this family because it means a lot.
Yeah.
So that's all I can say. But thank you.